When I tested Nanobanana a few months ago, I'll link the video at the end, it was impressive. But with every new technology, it's still developing. Google just released an upgrade called Gemini 3.1 Flash Image, also known as Nanobanana 2. So in this video, we're going to put it through its paces and see what it has actually improved. Stay to the end because I'll be showing you how to maximize its capabilities using advanced prompting skills that I haven't heard any other creator talk about. Nanobanana Pro was a genuine breakthrough for designers. For the first time, you could generate realistic concept visuals without needing advanced rendering skills in V-Ray or Photoshop. It opened up a whole world of image generation that was previously only accessible to designers with serious technical ability. But it still had limitations. Shadow control was unreliable, objects would randomly appear, and every iteration took time. So the real question with this upgrade is, does Nanobanana 2 actually fix those problems, or is it just faster at doing the same thing? I've been using AI image generation in my client workflow for 6 months now, and I've taught hundreds of designers how to improve their visualizations through consultations and in my community, the Design Success Circle. In this video, I'm going to run Nanobanana 2 through a fresh design workflow, test 2 specific capabilities that matter for designers, and give you my honest verdict on whether this replaces what I was doing before. But first, here's what actually changed and how to access it. So what's new in Nanobanana? It's faster, roughly twice as fast as Pro. It's free on the Gemini app. You have enhanced creative control. You can see you can maintain character resemblance up to 5 characters and the fidelity of about 14 objects in a single workflow. There's better instruction following and it adheres more to your complex requests. And also you can have full control of various aspect ratios and resolutions from 512 pixels to 4K, ensuring your visuals stay sharp, which is great when you're trying to do a presentation. It also delivers better lighting, richer textures, which is great for our material use, and sharper details, maintaining high quality aesthetics, as well as incredible speed. I recommend that you access Nanobanana in 2 ways, through either the Gemini app or through Google AI Studios. You can use Nanobanana obviously in other apps, but these are the ones that are the easiest. I recommend using the Gemini app. It's probably the easiest, and for the moment, it's free. You access it the same way as before by clicking on the tool button and selecting Create Image. So here we are in Gemini, and if you hit Create Image, you'll see you've got this style tab. And as I said before, I haven't found this particularly useful for interior design, but certainly you can try and play around with these style images. However, if you've got some great results from them, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you're creating. So the second way is through Google AI Studio. You can just, when you actually open Studio, you can then either choose Explore Nanobanana 2 and you try it in the playground. And here is where you can choose your models. You can choose Nanobanana 2. There's also a Gemini 3.1 Pro preview. You can see it's actually very expensive to run. So just stick with Nanobanana 2. And there's a Nanobanana Pro image. So again, you can see the cost of Nanobanana 2 compared to Nanobanana Pro is a lot cheaper. Here, you'll need to link a paid API key to use it. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to show you how to set this up. The other advantage of using Google AI Studio is you do have some tools here in the sidebar. You can control directly the aspect ratio and you can also control the resolution. But now in Nanobanana 2, if you're using the Gemini app, you should be able to just ask for a specific aspect ratio and a specific resolution and get the result that you would like. If you've never used Nano Banana before, take a look at this video. I'll link it up here first. It will give you a ton of workflows and then come back here. So the real question is, does any of these upgrades actually matter when you're working on a real design project? Let me show you a couple of workflows. In my last video, I took an empty Parisian loft and turned it into a client-ready concept. It took around 30 minutes of back and forth prompting, and I ran into a few issues with shadows and lighting, unexpected lamps appearing, and the model not following my other lighting instructions. So this time I'm using the same kind of test with a fresh space to see if these problems are actually fixed. I'm going to share all my prompts in my free community, the Design Success Circle, so you can follow along and test for yourself. I'll leave a link in the description. So let me share my screen. So I first started with an empty room, and you can see this room doesn't have very much in it other than architectural detail. I asked it to redecorate this luxury residential living room in a classic European townhouse. I asked it to keep the details and gave it a curated design of furniture. So you can see I didn't actually specify any specific examples except the elements that it needed to contain: the armchair, the lounge chair, and so on. And there was a little bit of color direction. In 14 seconds, I ended up with this result, which is not bad. You've got the olive green sofas. It's actually kept it quite classic, though it's added a little bit of a twist. Here, the image is quite harmonious, and to actually produce that in 14 seconds, I think is fairly impressive. The next workflow is adding multiple elements to a room. This is something that we do a lot as interior designers. We have specific products that we want to include in our room design. So as I mentioned before, you can now add up to 14 reference images to a room. I'm not going to test that many, but you'll find all the images and the test results in my free community. The second workflow is where I've taken a number of images of furniture items and decorative items and place them into an interior. So we're still working with the inspiration interior that I used in the first workflow. So I added in the original image, which actually had some furniture items in it, but I asked it to create a high quality photorealistic interior render inspired by the reference images. And you can see I added in around 7 furniture items. So they included lighting, a fireplace, some furniture, a wall color, and a rug. So quite a good variety of different types of furniture items. And I asked it to use the first image for the room architecture, the lighting mood, and the spatial composition. And then I asked it to replace the existing furniture with specific furniture pieces shown in the reference images. And then I actually used the sofa, the floor, and rug and other items and made sure that I mentioned them. And I also made a note to use a similar paint color. You can see I've got a paint color here. You've got to make sure that you ask Gemini to not just paste or collage the image. You think about the actual end result that you want. You want consistent lighting. You want realistic shadows. You want to keep styling minimal unless you ask for more things. So no random plants and so on that have been added into the image. Initially, it came up with this, so you can see it used the sofa. I didn't specify a coffee table, and it created this angular coffee table and picked up the colors of the walls and made everything harmonious. But you can see this is like a one-shot prompt, really put everything into that image. It added a few sort of decorative items, but kept it quite minimal. And you can see that the furniture that was created is very, very close to the original. I've tried this a number of times and the results are fairly consistent, whether I use them either directly in Gemini or in Google AI Studio. The results were very much the same in Google AI Studio. As you can see here, you've got a lot more choices in terms of the aspect ratio and the resolution, but in theory, Nano Banana 2 should be able to do this as well. Note, I've chosen the model here. You can actually add in system instructions if you've got a very specific type of way that you create images. This is one of the advantages of using Google AI Studio. I have my API key linked here and I'm just keeping it pretty similar. And you can see all I've done is added up the inspiration image, added in some furniture items, and used exactly the same prompt. It's pretty much kept to the same. It's probably retained more of the interior images, and you can see instead of the more greenish tones, it hasn't actually added in the green tones of the other room. But it's actually added some sort of more lifelike detail, for example, a fire in the fireplace, lights in the lighting, and you can see it's actually casting lighting onto the sofa, which is actually very, very nice, a very high quality image. It's also maintained this architectural detail, which the other one didn't have. So that's a full workflow test. Nano Banana 2 does not disappoint. I think it's still the best and easiest image generation tool for interior designers right now. If you're finding this video useful, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel because I post content every week. Now that you've stuck around, here's where the real value is. There are a couple of tricks that I want to show you, and you can use this in Nano Banana, but it will also work for other image generation tools. And this is something I've never heard any other creator talk about. And this is one of the reasons why I recommend using Gemini or AI Studio, as it's more difficult to do this in external apps. Now, what I'm about to show you looks a lot like code, but don't let that put you off. It's actually pretty straightforward to understand, and we're going to be using JSON code to analyze our image. So let me show how it works. Let's say we have an image that we found online and we want to replicate the lighting. So this is where JSON will come into play. So what I've done is I've uploaded an image and you can see it's got quite a warm tone, and I want to replicate that feeling in other work that I am producing. So I want to analyze this photograph and maintain the lighting, and I want it to be consistent across a whole set of images. So what I've done is I've uploaded the image and I've given it a very simple prompt: extract all the information from this image and convert it into structured JSON. Now you'll note I've kept it pretty open-ended, but what I would suggest is that if you want to extract a particular detail about the image, you mention that. So in this image, I actually wanted to extract the lighting, but when the JSON came back, you can see it didn't actually give me any lighting details. However, Gemini did ask me whether I wanted to add anything else to this extraction. Now, I did then say, can you analyze the lighting of this photograph? But I didn't ask it to put it into JSON. So that was a mistake. So then I went back and I said, can you add this to the JSON result? And then you can see it's added in a whole lighting analysis, looking at the primary source, the secondary source, the light quality, which I think is what I actually would like it to replicate in the rest of the images. So you can see it's kept it to soft, diffuse, and low contrast, and it's kept it to about 3000 Kelvin. Now, bright daylight is around 550 Kelvin. So you can see it's warmed it up quite significantly. It's even included a layering strategy. Now, one of the great things about JSON is it gives you a whole lot of information about the image that once you actually find the words and the key, you can add it back into your natural language prompts. If you get a result of an image that you like, it's always useful to actually throw it into Gemini, ask it to analyze it, and really look at how the AI actually created the image. So the JSON basically gives you those building blocks with the keys and then the value. So then I said, very simply, let's create a similar image using the JSON for a bedroom. And you can see it's maintained the view and it's just added in a bench, but the lighting is consistent. I gave it a little bit more of a complex prompt. I asked it to create a Japandi bedroom, and you can see here the result that was created was very, very pleasing. It's maintained a lot of the elements of the original image, but it's made it something different and quite specific. And you could totally believe that these two rooms exist in that same house. So here's the thing. Nanobanana 2 is a genuine step forward. It's faster, it handles multiple references, and the instruction following is noticeably better. But the real power isn't just in the tool itself. It's how you prompt it and how you can analyze your images to improve it. And that JSON method I showed you, that's what takes your results from an interesting AI experiment to something you can actually present to a client. If you haven't seen my first Nanobanana video, that's where I walk through the full foundation, how to set up my initial workflows, the 2 core tests I ran, and what I learned about getting consistent results from the model. It's the starting point for everything I build today. Any of this was new to you, go watch that one next. I'll put it on the screen right now. And if you want all the prompts, the test images, and the JSON templates I used in this video, they're inside the Design Success Circle, my free community for interior designers who want to actually use these tools in their businesses. You'll find designers sharing their results, testing workflows together, and building on each other's work. The link is in the description. One thing that speeds up my workflows and productivity is by using my voice instead of typing. If you want to learn how you can 3x your productivity, you should watch this video up here next.